Welcome to the show. Welcome to Your Thought Life Podcast. I am your host, Michael Anderson. Today we're jumping into a topic that is very difficult for me to produce. The title is Why People Unknowingly Stay Stuck for Years. This is a hard topic for me because at the beginning of my managerial journey back in 2001, actually 2000 to 2001, when I got my first supervisory role. And I was in that zone where this was really cool, but at the same time, I thought that I could pretty much remain the same and traverse that next level. What I found after doing that very badly for about 5 years is that model did not work. It would not provide me with the opportunities and the opening of doors that were necessary for me to continue my ascent into the corporate ranks, or rather into the executive ranks. This is, I know for a fact, a situation that many of us contend with, and that is being stuck, knowing that we're stuck, but not having the fortitude, wherewithal, discipline, or techniques that are needed for us to be able to negotiate that in a way that makes sense and that gets us unstuck. For me, I was in the same place, facing the same challenges, the same feelings, and the same frustrations for about 5 years. And during that time, I had a lot of people who entered into the supervisor managerial ranks with me, and they just shot right past me. I don't want that for you. I want you to learn from I'm going to call it a mistake. We don't do better sometimes because we don't have anybody to instruct us or to teach us how to do better. So hence this specific topic and why it's so near and dear to my heart. I want to, out of my own experience, share with you some of the things that were very helpful to undo this set of circumstances. So this one comes from a real place. The sort of psychology of staying stuck suggests that our brains are wired to favor the familiar. And whenever something appears that is net new, it creates an extreme level of discomfort. Therefore, the mind is very cool with the concept of status quo. And according to a study published in the journal Organizational Behavior and Human Decision Processes, people are more likely to stick with less than ideal situations simply because it feels safe. They don't have a whole bunch of noise going through their head, and it's well known. In fact, there's a staggering statistic which suggests 70% of people admit to staying in jobs, relationships, or routines that no longer serve them just because they hate the idea of change. Change is the one constant that we are always going to be faced with so long as we're on this side of the dirt. There's a so-called invisible barrier, right? And these invisible barriers are very pronounced. They act in a day-to-day life like limiting beliefs do. They usher in a set of challenges to us. And because it's our voice, we believe it, we hang our hat on it, and we are unable to move forward, paralyzed. You should see the talk we did yesterday for more on that specific topic. Nonetheless, what is keeping us stuck? And the first reason is, again, this invisible barrier that has been placed in front of us, aka a limiting or a set of limiting beliefs. For me, they were very quiet. They were only on the inside. I was the only one hearing this, and I was the only one responding to this. And because of their level of persistence, I listened and I obeyed. And they told me, you don't have to change to get where you need to go. You can be this same person that got you out of this engineering role into this supervisory role. You don't have to do all of those soft skills. You don't have to be prepared to speak out in meetings. You don't have to go to conferences, network. You don't have to secure speaking opportunities. You don't have to do any of that stuff. That's not necessary. And I believed it because, again, the origin sounded like me sharing this with me. It sounded as if it was my voice that was helping me to make this determination. Why would I not listen? This immediately turns into, over time, unfortunately, this stuckness because I don't have a desire to change. So now I'm in a fixed mindset. I'm looking at others pass me up. Now I'm feeling like I'm not enough. And they have all now entered into the director VP ranks. I'm just now getting into the manager role. So now it's now feeling like, hey, it's too late. They're all gone. They're way past me now. And some of them I actually helped get there, which is a compounding effect for that. So over time, these beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies because we're living out that limiting belief turns into an invisible barrier that prevents us from moving forward. Again, for me, it was, I don't have to change. I don't have to learn these new skill sets, these soft skills. I don't have to learn persuasion. I don't have to learn these next level managerial tactics. I don't have to get really good at budgeting and working cross-functionally with other departmental leaders. I don't have to do that stuff. I can do what I've been doing. I can remain tactically focused and get there. And that was far from the truth. And it led me down this rabbit hole that we have coined today as the invisible barrier. Each of us has an invisible barrier in some aspect of our lives. And our intent today is to tear that sucker down. And I do mean absolutely destroy it. What's another reason that this set of circumstances exists? The set of circumstances why we remain stuck for years. Another reason is our daily habits create a sense of security. So even if you're not moving forward, you know what to expect in any given day because this day is just like the last day. These thoughts today were about 90 to 92% of the thoughts you thought yesterday. So everything is fairly familiar. And again, the brain is very happy with that. So we're in status quo. Everything is good. The brain is always going to crave predictability, and breaking out of the routine requires energy and courage. I say that because for me, when I made the decision to get a coach, it was very clear, even though I was overcoaching other people and helping them get to where I was, and I even helped some of my buddies that came into the manager ranks and the supervisory ranks at the same time and me move way beyond me. Even though I was doing all of that stuff, there was still this void within me that needed to be dealt with. I was still wanting and listening to my brain saying, I prefer predictability over growth, over change, over development. And so at the end of the day, these are the circumstances, or another set of circumstances, that we have to know are taking place at a subconscious level. And it's like anything, family. Once we know that this is taking place, now we can do something about it. Now we can change the dynamic. For me and for a lot of people, change meant reckoning. Change meant dealing with some fears that were very deep-seated. And as an absolute fact, fear has a role in this situation while we're staying stuck. And the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of what people may think, or even the fear of success can keep us in a really stagnated state rooted in the exact same space, going down pathway of status quo. And the mind is a master at conjuring up the worst case scenarios, thinking through hypotheticals that are just so believable. But in real world, when you dial down all of the drama and rhetoric, make absolutely no sense. But we're in that moment. We're keyed up. Cortisol is kicked in. We're in fight or flight mode. So we will listen, and we will listen intently. And whereas a person who is not in fight or flight mode would hear that and go, that's just weird. I don't think that's going to play out. When you're in that mode, in that zone, again, you listen intently. And fear can be one of the most paralyzing characteristics that we can bring to bear with respect to why we're staying stuck for years. Here's the science. Study shows that most of our fear never materializes, and the act of taking even a small step forward can dramatically reduce anxiety and build confidence. When you're endeavoring to change, you're going to see a very large picture in your mind. What I'm asking you today to do is don't look at the entirety of the change. That certainly will overwhelm you. It will make you feel some kind of way, and it will kickstart your critical voice. And we want to keep that guy or gal at bay. Instead, find a very small component that you can do. One little tiny thing that starts the process. And just decide that you're only going to do a little bit each day. And what happens is you begin to build momentum. And as you build momentum, you build confidence. And as you build confidence, then you're able to then move through this newness, this change, this growth mindset adoption in a way that is far less scary and much more manageable for your mind, for your inner voice. And so this was what I had to do. Everything that I'm sharing with you, I had to live this out more than one time for various levels that I achieved while I was a corporate fellow, all the way up through the executive ranks. There are various levels, and with each level, there are some new challenges, and it requires you to use this same process. The cool piece is it's repeatable, and that if I can do it, coming out of the projects of San Bernardino with no positive role models and everyone around me doing drugs and gangbanging, most certainly, if you don't have a storyline like that, you too can do it. Here's some additional action steps that I want you to consider. The core here is how we break the cycle. And the first action step is awareness. Everything in self-development, every first step, if you will, is always going to be rooted and grounded in awareness. I want you to just take a moment and reflect on your current situation. Ask if you're truly satisfied, or are you settling? Identify the beliefs and the routines that might be holding you back. Document those, study those, become intimately aware of each of them. And then once you have seen them on the paper, start to prioritize which of these you're going to go after easiest first. And then after you've done that, I want you to begin to think about when those situations come up each day or each week or each month. And now that you have heightened your sense of awareness, then I want you to begin to challenge those limiting beliefs. Remember, that's the invisible barrier. I want you to begin to challenge those and ask directly to him or her, that's your inner voice, is this really true? Where's the evidence? Or is it just a story that you've been telling me that I've been buying into for all of these years? And once you've made the determination one way or another, we have to change the narrative. And we do that by replacing the negative self-talk with empowering self-talk. For me, the idea of not changing was the main idea. I was afraid of that. When I changed the narrative, I said, I am no longer afraid to change. I am no longer afraid to grow. And I am willing to do what is necessary, no matter how long it takes, to learn these soft skills and to get this master's degree so that I can reach my goal, which was to become an executive. That's how you change the story. That's how you change the narrative. That's how you go from disempowered to empowered. And then finally, one small, courageous action at a time. Don't focus on the big picture. Don't allow it, because that's what allows it to get real dramatic, right? We don't want to do that. If you feel like this is incredibly difficult and you need some help, reach out. I'm happy to help you. I trust that this particular topic, although difficult for me, is helpful for you. Remember that people stay stuck for years, not because they lack ability, but because they're trapped by invisible barriers, limiting beliefs, routines, and fears that they have yet to reconcile. You don't have to be in that specific genre any longer. You can break free. Use these principles to help you chart that journey to freedom. And thank you so much for joining me today for this episode. Do consider leaving us a rating and a review. It helps the channel tremendously. Feel free to connect with us via our Linktree app that's available in the show notes. And I'd like to remind you that you are enough, you can do it, and you are uniquely equipped to realize your goals. Till next time, take care, keep pushing forward.